everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming DC Comics Icon 6-inch Atomica figure from DC Collectibles. Now, first of all, big thanks to DC Collectibles for sending this figure out early to me. It will be released next month in the month of June. The figure comes packaged in the same style of packaging we've been seeing with all the icons. You've got the window box packaging. The figure's clearly displayed. For the box, you've got white and blue colors for Atomica. And then off to the side, you've got the name, and it tells us this is figure number 12 in the series. On the side of the packaging, you again have the name, and it tells us this figure is based on the Forever Evil storyline. And then on the back of the packaging, we see all the figures in the wave. We looked at Aquaman the other day, and I'll be taking a look at Superman most likely tomorrow. I don't yet have Harley Quinn, but again, all these figures will be out in June. And then it tells us the figure was designed by Ivan Reyes and sculpted by Sam Greenwell. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at Atomica outside the packaging. Now, before I get to the review, I just want to note, because some of you have been asking, the wave of figures, which is technically wave 4, was going to be due out on May 25th. This wave, wave 3 with Atomica, Superman, and Aquaman and Harley Quinn had been delayed. So wave 4 was actually originally going to come out before wave 3, and that's the wave with Joker, John Stewart, Green Lantern, and Firestorm. So I got informed by DC Collectibles last week that that wave has in fact been delayed, so we're not going to see it until later this summer. I don't have a specific release date yet. They told me they'd get that to me soon, but they didn't have it at this time. So again, the wave with Joker, John Stewart, Green Lantern, and Firestorm has been delayed till later this summer, and then this wave with Atomica is going to be out next month in June. Okay, so this figure Atomica comes with a number of accessories, as you can see here. So first of all, she comes with an alternate pair of hands. She has a pair of closed-fisted hands which are attached to the figure when you first take it out of the packaging, and then you get this pair of open hands. And the hands look pretty nice, you know, just basic red with the little blue patch. And changing them out is pretty simple. You just, again, pull out the hand, and the hand's attached with a little peg, and then you take the hand that you want to put in and you just slide it in there, and it should go in pretty easily. Okay, and the rest of the accessories that come with this figure aren't really technically related to the actual figure itself. We get 2 miniature versions of Atom, and I don't think the Atom actually appeared in the Crime Syndicate story. Now, Atomica is an evil version of Atom. They have the same kind of power of shrinking and such, but Atomica is basically from an alternate universe and part of the Crime Syndicate. So I'm not 100% sure why they gave us miniature versions of Atom as opposed to maybe miniature versions of Atomica. However, back when we were getting 7-inch versions of the Crime Syndicate, we did get a miniature Atomica figure. So it may be they just decided that people would prefer miniature versions of Atom instead of getting another miniature version of Atomica. So if you had bought that Johnny Quick figure, that 7-inch Johnny Quick figure, you do have a small version of Atomica that can go with your 6-inch figure. And these are kind of cool. So you can see here, the larger version of Atom just stands under 3 inches tall. And this figure actually has some articulation, so you can turn the head to the left and you can turn the head to the right. Basically 5 points of articulation. He can rotate his arms. He doesn't have any elbow joints or any wrist joints, no waist joints, no midsection joints. He can do his leg forward and he can do the leg back, and that's basically it. So just a basic 5 points of articulated figure, but it is kind of cool. Pretty nice detailing with the paint applications on this. You can see his little Atom symbol on his belt, and the belt's gold, and the rest of the figure is just blue and red. Decent skin tone, and you can even make out the eyes on this little figure. So again, I think they did a pretty nice job with the paint applications on this, and it comes off looking nice. And then you get an even smaller Atom figure. Now this one is not articulated, and this one only stands about a little over 1.5 inches tall. But this one comes with this little Atom, clear plastic Atom symbol. So in the comics, you would, when he shrinks down and stuff, you would see this kind of Atom atomic symbol kind of appear around him. So to mimic that, they've given you this, and it comes in 2 pieces. So you get a clear base that's got holes in it, and then this Atom thing that's, again, done with just plastic, clear plastic, and there's little pegs on the plastic. And so what you want to do is you want to match them up with the holes on the base, actually better, which is to put the figure in. So the figure's got little pegs on the bottom of its feet. So you put the figure in the inner holes on the base, and then you put this this atom thing over top of him, and then it fits into the plastic. So then it looks like, you know, he's kind of floating around with this symbol around him. So that's pretty cool. And even though this is a much smaller figure, again, pretty solid paint applications. Not quite as much detail as the larger one, but you can still make out pretty nice details, and there's not really any sloppy paint on this figure. So I definitely like that. And then if you have the older 7-inch DC Collectibles Atom figure that they released, then you can use these miniature Atom figures with that. And then, like I said, if you have that miniature Atomica figure that came with the 7-inch Johnny Quick figure, you can use that with the 6-inch version, and they do go pretty well with one another. So, you know, depending on how you kind of look at it, you know, obviously these accessories don't really go with the figure in its own right, but if, you know, one way of looking at it is you basically are getting two different figures in the set, so that's kind of cool. And if you do, again, have the older, you know, DC collectible figures, the Johnny Quick and the Atom figure, then these are definitely nice things that you can mix and match. Okay, so for Atomica herself, I think they've done a pretty nice job with this figure. In fact, this is, I guess, our first Icons female figure that we're getting that's been released as of yet. And I think they've done a pretty nice job. I like the sculpting on the hair. You can see there's some darker colors mixed in to give it some nice wash effect on the hair, so I like that. The hair is a softer rubber material, so you do have some flexibility with that. And then I like the little goggles on her forehead. You can't move them, they're not removable. You can't put them down over her eyes or anything. I'm not sure if she ever actually wore them over her eyes or not, I don't remember, but they have red painted lenses, and so they look pretty good. And the overall face sculpt, I think, comes out looking really nice. Again, nice job with the eyes, and the mask is painted nice and solidly on the figure. Good skin tone, and then solid blues and reds throughout the figure. Again, really no sloppiness on the figure as far as paint application, so really nice job in that area. You've got some wash work on the belt. The belt is a separate piece. It's glued on the figure, but it is a separate piece, and so you've got the pouches sculpted, and then again the belt buckle with the Atom symbol on there, which looks good. So overall, I think they've done a really nice job with this figure. So this figure stands just a little over 5.5 inches tall. Here's a comparison with the DC Icon 6-inch Forever Evil Black Atom figure, and you can see the scale between these two is pretty good. So back when DC Collectibles was doing 7-inch versions of the Crime Syndicate, Atomica is actually the only character we didn't get in full size. So here's a comparison with the 6-inch Atomica with those 7-inch figures, and you can see she's definitely a bit on the smaller side, which is no surprise being this is a 6-inch figure and the others are 7-inch. But I guess, you know, with her being the ability to shrink and grow, you could kind of make it work. I don't know, what do you all think? And here's a comparison with Mattel's Dawn of Justice 6-inch Wonder Woman, Marvel Legend Kate Bishop 6-inch figure from Hasbro, and Toy Biz Marvel Legend 6-inch Ant-Man figure, and you can see Atomica is a bit smaller than the others. So articulation on the figure is pretty good. Head's on a ball joint, so she can look left and she can look right. She has a little bit of down movement, but can't really look back because of the hair. You can get the arm all the way out, and she's got good rotation there. Standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder. She's got a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, so good bending at the elbow. She's got swivels at the wrist and also has hinges on the hands, so good up and down movement with the hands. She has a midsection joint, so she's got rotation there at the midsection, and then she has an ab crunch joint, so she can crunch down pretty good, and she can look back pretty good. No waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints, so she can do the splits good, and she can get her leg forward good, and she can do her leg out and back like that. No thigh swivel, double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee, and she has hinges on the feet, so good up and down movement, and she does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of her feet. So that's my review. Overall, I think this is a really nice figure. I think DC Collectibles has done a nice job with the paint applications. The joints are nice and solid. You don't get that gummy joint syndrome like you often see with female figures, and it has pretty good movement overall. The accessories, I think, if you look at it as getting 2 different figures in one are cool. cool. I like the larger atom figure and that has articulation, and then the little atom thing is a nice touch for the smaller figure. And especially if you have like the miniature Atomica that came with the 7-inch Johnny Quick figure or the 7-inch atom figure, I think that makes these accessories even cooler. So this figure will be out on shelves in June. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the description below. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook and or Twitter pages. I'll have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.